sort of just thinking maybe like a more crypto-oriented sort of discussion, like how different aspects of paying attention to crypto may affect your mental health, like things like euphoria from getting like a really really good like green candle from like an investment, or FOMO, and uh, um, things like that. Like just like how certain experiences within this space and paying attention to this space has affected your mental health, and like things that you can do to sort of counteract that. If you don't want to talk about that though, we can just totally talk about personal stories and how certain things.
Yeah, I would just really like to talk about like as a beginning. I think we can move on to personal stories later on. I think that's a cool idea. But so since like all of us are kind of in NFT collection stuff and also play to earn stuff, especially on Harmony. The thing is, like, I worked in games a lot for a really long time, and I believe that sometimes we as in players really tend to lose the game aspect of it, and like usually I'm playing games to like ease out my mental health, to like think about other stuff and just clear my mind. But with play to earn and GameFi and all that, it really relates to money. Okay, I have to make money on this. I have to like at least get an ROI. I need to do this. So how will I do it? And I saw this in myself sometimes, that I even did this for Crypto Real. It's such a like a basic stupid game, but whenever I enter like a staked game and if I lose it, I would just get so upset, even though it's not even like $1, it's like 5 cents. And yeah, I think that's something that should be considered a lot. Like everything in crypto, always whatever you want to do always has a monetary effect. And if you're someone that needs any money you can get, I think, and if you join in on like these projects and actually lose money, I think it hurts way more than you would if you just, I don't know, if you just bought ship coin, and if you would lost it, maybe you would feel less bad. But at some point, as a game developer, I think it affects more than your monetary stuff. You kind of forget having fun with all of this. I think that's something that all projects should consider, to
Yeah,
at least give like fun to people and keep fun in mind.
you know what? That's actually a really fresh perspective. Typically when talking about a game, you're totally right. It's like you play a game because you want some sort of like, I don't know, just like a fun, or like maybe like an escape from worrying about other stuff. But so much of like finances and investing like is pretty stressful, right? So that's a really interesting thing that you mentioned. I think I mean, I think I could speak for the whole OneCan team when I say that we want to make a fun game too, and of course people aren't going to invest if they don't see the value in investing, right? And the potential ROI. But I think in the word game, you kind of have to make a game that people want to play at the same time. So I think that's a really good point. Like, and it's something that I never really considered. Like, yeah, like play to earn. It technically is earning money and prioritizing that over actually playing an actual game. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, like when you consider that most people play games without earning nothing back. For example, I used to play World of Warcraft a lot, and I paid like 70 euros a month to it, and it would be a lot of money for me, but I would still pay it. Why? Because I was having fun. It was good for me. But when like in crypto, you expect the opposite. You expect to have fun and make money, but at the end of the day, sometimes you don't have fun and you lose money, so it hurts more.
I think to just chime in here, and that's a great point, and I think a lot of it's a very foundational thought process, and something we've really kind of thought through. I'm not gonna lie, we've had a lot of directions that we've thought of going down with the island and the whole OneCans project. And one thing that, well, we started off in the space. We kept the mint value super low. Like our goal has always been to have a really cheap buy-in price. And I think this kind of stems because I did start on a lot of projects that were technically what they called GameFi, but as you say, like the priority is to make money. So the entire time you're not having fun, you're basically just grinding to make money. And yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a lot of Ponzi-nomics. Like it's like, okay, yeah, you can make a lot of money, especially if you get in early. But if you want to go in and play the game and it's developed, and all of a sudden, the whales start dumping, all of a sudden, no one starts playing the game. Like when you have that very predatory money making priority around a game, it's no longer really GameFi. It's finance with like a game skin over it. Um, so like I think one of the things that to kind
You
of
know what
help
it
with
is? It's
that.
gamble at that point. You're just
No,
gambling.
yeah, exactly. It's gambling. But the whole thing is like projects don't put the priority of development into making the game. They put priority of development into all of the tokenomics and like the money making mechanisms, and they don't focus on making it a fun game. So people will play things. I mean, I'm not going to mention any specific projects, but a lot of the first play to earn games are not fun. It's just like transaction based, turn based things that you can earn, little amounts of money here and there. You can bot it, and all of a sudden people don't even play the game anymore. So that's where I think very recently one of the big focuses we had was to go against this whole play to earn idea necessarily right at the start, and really focus on making the game fun to play, and almost looking at it as if like the NFT is the buy-in price that you have to play the game. And that's, as you said, World of Warcraft, like you didn't have to spend that money. There's a fixed cost you have to spend at the minimum to enter the game and enjoy the base features. And then from there on out, it's like you pay to get more exclusive features, but you don't have to at the end of the day. I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of games have lost sight of that. We're seeing a lot of GameFi that isn't games. And it causes a lot of mental health stress, I think, on a lot of people who want to just come into the space.
Yeah, and with this approach, it kind of expands what sort of like on-chain DeFi and NFT space really is, right? Like immediately your mind goes to investing, like how am I going to make money, how am I going to stack my crypto, like all this other stuff. But if you just want to make a game, right, like there's that pressure. There's that pressure from not only other people that want to be that are interested in like what you're creating, but it's stressful on the person too, because they are also spending time, let's say, doing something that may not be making them money, and then they feel the stress on top of that. And it's just, I don't know, it's something that I hadn't really considered as well. Like, yeah, the main reason, me personally, why I play a game is because I want to feel, I don't know, some sort of like relief from what I'm like currently dealing with. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to just like turn my brain off for a second and quickly have a little brain teasing session for whatever hour or two, I totally love doing that. And I feel like when you intertwine things like that, and the immense stress associated with like finances, it becomes very difficult to manage. And so, like what kind of things do you guys think you would do personally if maybe you're stressed out and like you want to, like, I guess you want to ease your mind a little bit when it comes to investing within crypto, not so much particularly in GameFi, but what kind of things do you guys like to do to sort of like relieve some of that stress and perhaps anxiety?
I don't know if you guys have seen it, but do you guys watch Seinfeld?
I don't actually. I mean, I've only seen like two seasons rather.
Yeah,
But yeah.
there's an episode where Jerry and George buy into like a stock, and it's weird because I watched this like a few, like I've got shares and I've got obviously crypto, and it's weird because they hit a point where they're checking like the newspaper every time they see it, and they're freaking out about it, and they can't take their mind off it, and it's up and it's down and blah blah blah, and Jerry's mental health really starts deteriorating, and then he panics and he sells low and then loses a bunch of money. So it's kind of like it hits him in the wallet and it hits him in like his mental health. And I just thought it was really interesting because one of the things that just my dad said to me about my own stocks is just like, just stop checking them, just leave it, because I'm not buying mine to sell quickly. I'm buying them to have for 5-10 years and then sell. So it's like, just stop checking them because it's not going to change the outcome. And I think regardless if you're doing that or not, maybe if you're trying to make money hand over fist, you need to be checking. But for the most part, I think people need to just don't check it so much, and it like just really takes your mind off it and can relax you like a lot. I think it has a big impact, and it's probably like a really underrated thing because we don't think of checking our phone as like it's so trivial. We don't think of that as something which can actually really affect us.
Like, to kind of add on to that, I think that's a great point. Like, we are in a generation now where truly disconnecting yourself is virtually impossible. Like, we are so dependent on this stuff. And I guess to go on even more of a tangent, I kind of tested myself out on that. I had a pretty heavy like mental health toll probably about a year ago now. And I gave myself a challenge and just said I'm doing absolutely zero phone, zero like any sort of technology besides work, which it's not cheating, but I just couldn't give up work for a week. And it's insane to me like how much we're consumed by things like that. Even social media. I know now, being in the whole like, I guess, Web3 space, just consuming media about markets, about war, about how markets are going to be affected by war, how much money I'm winning or losing every day. And I've made a point to not check my portfolio anymore with any sort of investments. And you'd be surprised how much more effective you can be. Just choose a few things to focus on. Like right now, we're developing the game. I just said, you know what? I'm going to focus on building this. I'm not going to worry about where the market goes. And I feel like if you're constantly worrying like those people, like you mentioned in Seinfeld, or even just in general, like if you're constantly checking your portfolio and worrying, it might mean that you're over leveraged. It might mean that you have overinvested a lot of your money. And because in reality, investments should just be something passive that's done in the background for 99% of people.
Yeah, like unless you're this big virtual capital company that's making money day trading stuff, unless you're doing that and you have like 30 people analyzing stuff for you, it's just not, it doesn't make sense to check your phone every 5 minutes. But like, I have to say that I've been a victim of this. I've been in this space since like 2014, and like I had this habit of selling early, just selling without waiting, selling in a day, because I was just a kid then. I didn't know what I was doing, but then I would get so upset that it became like really hard for me, even that at that young age. So yeah, like you mentioned, if you care too much about crypto and your investments, you're probably in too deep. You should get out, and you should maybe start over. Just go all fiat and maybe start slow from the beginning, because why not? Like, why wouldn't you do that? And as you mentioned, like if I need to get my mind off like losing in crypto, and I need to relax, like you said, I don't check my I don't check my tabs, I don't check graphics. I just talk to my girlfriend or something. I think that's what people should do. In this generation, in our generation, we have this leverage of, like you mentioned, we can't stay unconnected, and like And once you know about these things, once you know about investing and what you can do with it, it's really hard to go back from it. So it's really hard to tell people to stop doing it, stop investing, and just worry about your life for a while. It's hard to say that, and it's impossible to make people do this. But like you all mentioned, it's really necessary to think this as like, yes, you're investing in stuff. Like when I buy a house, I don't sell it in like 2 days. I don't try to sell it in the 2 days. I wait for 10 years, 20 years to make it valuable. And I think after seeing all these crazy high rates, 100% APYs and all that, we can't be like full with it. I mean, like for example, I'm in Turkey, and Turkish banks give 20% interest rates to your money, and like that's not enough for me. I know it's pretty huge for like for US banks or something, but it's really not enough for me. And my instinct is always to like, okay, take risks, take risks, take risks. But then you take risks, you lose money. Like that's for certain. Anyone that takes risks have to lose at some point, and you lose money. Oh, I should not have taken risks. And then you don't take risks, and then you feel like you need to take risks again. So it's really an addiction at some point. And like you said, our generation is kind of cursed slash blessed with all of this.
It's kind of the perfect storm in a sense that, like, I feel that, you know, a lot of us in this space are quite young, and I can speak for a lot of us to say that, like, you know, we grew up, investing's become a lot more popular within, I would say, the quarantine. Like, a lot of people got time to sit down and think about what to do with their money. A lot of people got into, you know, a bit more savings or liquidity that they could spend. And I think that, mixed with the fact that we've been in this tremendous bull run, has caused actually Wrecked. A friend of mine showed me a video from Wrecked. It's some YouTuber, like some media channel, um, just explaining how this constant bull market and wealth creation that's been, you know, pretty unsustainable, has caused people to be pushed to the point of just, yeah, degenerate gambling. And, you know, we're no longer happy with the classic 7% to 10% returns that the S&P can return every year, you know, and then you'll maybe make enough to pay for your retirement at the end of your career. No, like, people our age want, even, like, I'm guilty. There's certain points I'll see a yield farm, and if it's not like, you know, over 100%, there's no interest for me in that. Um, so yeah, there's, and I think a lot of this, and now that we've hit not up only portions of the market, where, like, yeah, people have lost significant money if they bought in December last year or November last year. Um, I think that if this market continues, more and more people will have that reality set in, that it's not possible to just constantly make back 100% returns. And the Turkish thing's an
It's
interesting
good
one.
for them. It's good for them in the long term.
I think it will. I think for a lot of people, this will be a good reality. It'll let reality set in that it's not easy to make over 10% returns a year. And yeah, things like the Turkish banks paying off 20% interest, even that's risky because you have to hold, I'm assuming, Turkish currency, right? That's 20% returns on a Turkish currency that's depreciated, I don't even know how much within the last couple of years.
Yeah. Like you said, but like it's I don't know. I'm gonna deviate from the subject a bit, but they have this new system where your money in the bank is like protected against the price fluctuation of Turkish lira by the
Interesting.
government. Yeah, they added this because people were just not holding any Turkish lira. So they made this stuff up. I don't know, like you mentioned, even with that exists, I earn foreign currency only, and I never ever go to Turkish currencies. I just act like I'm a foreigner outside and pay with euros or dollars.
Interesting.
Um, like you said, even if this exists, I'm not taking it. It's much easier for me to, like, I don't know, put it on Anchor or put it on, like you mentioned. I should just see if I see a liquidity pool with under 150% API. I'm just not going in. I'm just holding it.
Yeah, and I mean, all of these things, all of these very unsustainable promises, and I think this goes back into the play to earn stuff. A lot of the current space is built off this explosive, unsustainable growth, and I feel like we've hit many times. And I think anybody that's been in the space for more than a few months, they've invested in a project. You know, they hit a 10x, maybe more. I can personally say projects on Harmony have done that. And yeah, there's that euphoria stage you hit where you think you're invincible, and I think crypto really amplifies the highs and the lows because of the return sizes and the loss sizes, where you can feel like the king of the world and you're the best trader in the world because you made a 10x in a month, and then all of a sudden you hold that right back down to zero. So those mental health highs and lows are really dangerous, and I feel like, I don't know. I wish like spaces like this would just be able to open it up completely and people would be open to sharing their stories, because I'm sure there'd be a lot of interesting ones where people would just share, you know, their mental health issues. Because I know for a fact myself and a few of my close friends in this space have had a lot of dark times over the past year.
Yeah, and even like,
Yeah,
even sorry, I don't want to cut you off there. But yeah, even like when you look at like different subreddits of like people getting like destroyed on like crazy trades or whatever, like there are like real people behind those trades. You know what I'm saying? Like it's it's tough to think about because you know you think to yourself, oh, that's not going to be me. That's not going to be me. And then yeah, when you hold a bag that's like really like valuable, and then all the way back down to zero, then you look at yourself and then you start questioning, like, man, what did I do that? Why did I do that? What's wrong with me? Like, what can I do? And then it just becomes like a little bit of a spiral too, right? And yeah, I don't know. I mean, is there one remedy to it? Is it just as simple as, you know, oh, maybe like spend less time like checking out charts or social or like crypto Twitter or any of these things? Like, I don't think it's one particular solution. I think it's just over a course of or over a period of time, you kind of need to like be more mindful, if that makes any sense, about like what how important investing should be to you, and you know, like, unless you're literally making a living off of this, like it's not the end, it's not an end all be all. Like, this money should be money that you're not necessarily going to like live or die by, if that makes any sense. I don't know, it's such a difficult question to answer.
I mean, in the end, it's just a matter of personal experience, I think. And as I've said, this degenerate gambling mentality has been stemmed because people over the past decade have made insane amounts of money just leveraged trading. And yeah, as I said, it's, I think it changes per person. I know for myself, a big thing is, you know, the classic rules: always make sure you pull out your principal as soon as possible, you take profits, and stuff like that. But I think as long as there's those 100x plays that you can go out there, people will constantly be chasing those with the risk of losing all their money.
yeah, you just can't help it. And like with how colorful everything in crypto is, like you think that everything is going always great. There are all these buzzwords. Oh, it's gonna pump dump, all these different like terminologies, and I don't know. It's just crazy. I have this one story where I was in Bitcoin in 2014. So, and that's the like first year where Bitcoin started high and ended low in that year. So it was, I guess I bought it at around like $800, and I bought like 30 40 Bitcoins. And then at the end of the year, I guess it was like $350, and I got like, I actually went ahead just invested my family's whole savings into this, and I was the whole time I was watching charts, and I was like, what have I done? How deep did I went in? So I guess it was pretty deep, and then I panicked. I was having nightmares. It was an insane period because I was just gambling for no reason, and like I said, I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing, but I was still doing it, and that amount of money was too much for me. And I guess at some point, what happened is I just sold all of it. Uh, I wish I hadn't done that, but I just sold all of it and then went on to try to pay them back by different stuff. I mean, Ethereum made me pay them back, but like I mentioned, it was so traumatizing, and I guess even though it was a bad experience and it made me lose a lot of money, I think what it made me like really aware of how dangerous things could be and how bad you can get hurt. And ever since then, I'm way more realistic on my expectations. But that doesn't stop me from being a DJ. Nevertheless,
But no, that makes complete sense. I think it's just really, man, especially when you're new to the space and maybe you hit like a crazy play and you end up making a lot of money. That feeling, a lot of people don't want to let go of that feeling where they think that they're just like the best trader in the world, and just one more DJ and one more gamble is really going to pay off, and I'll be able to do this and this. It's like it's almost like it's like you see this life in front of you. You hear all these stories of people making it from like a crazy like leverage trade, and you're like, you know what, that can be me. That can be me. And I don't know, like that hopium. It's funny if it's like ironic, but if it's actually serious too, for some people, it can be a really dangerous mindset. So yeah, like I think that's why I really appreciate conversations like these ones. It's like for people that may be thinking this on the inside, like, no, that's not me, that's not me. But then they start resonating with some of the stories that we're saying, that we're telling rather. Uh, you could prevent someone from losing their life savings. You could prevent someone from potentially making a mistake that costs them and potentially their family for a significant amount of time. Right? Like that could be a real thing. So yeah, Escaleto, were you wanting to speak? I see you keep joining back in and out though.
No, okay. It looks like it's worked now. It just keeps cutting me off, and the call keeps dying. But I caught glimpses of what you guys were talking about. Yeah, I mean, in the end, I think I don't know. It's a big lesson that a lot of us have learned. I think in this whole degenerate gambling thing, and to tie it back all the way to the start, that's kind of I think the good part about the Harmony ecosystem in general, and something that we're trying to carry over on our project, which is we're trying to make a game fi project, I guess, not a finance game project where people can just come on without the need of putting money down and have a place to relax. Because as Ben Elohim mentioned, there's not really places like that in the crypto space. Everyone's here to constantly be making money or thinking about money or thinking about how they can increase the size of their portfolio. And I think spaces like this are very important to, you know, be able to share all our experiences here, because it is hard in real life. We're all anonymous, or not anonymous, but like in the spaces we're known by aliases. And it is nice to have that anonymity if you're trying to share personal stories or struggles. So yeah, that's why I like all of the projects, a lot of the projects on Harmony, Dingos, us. I've seen a lot of the cool new ones coming out. And I hope a lot of people take that into account, where it's not all about making money. Sometimes you just need a place to chill, relax, and talk to people with common interests of yours.
Yeah, I think that's a great mindset for real. And I don't know. I mean, I was going to move on to like a different question, and maybe slightly related to what we were talking about. But I think the Harmony Dragons was just added as a speaker. If they would like to partake in the discussion here, feel free to unmute your mic and ask a question, or if you want to talk. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Fizban.
Very nice to hear your voice. Thank you for joining the call.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm also recording on the desktop, and there's a huge lag delay. I was using my headphones instead of my phone, and I just had to turn my volume up on my phone so I can hear you guys.
Oh yeah, well we can hear you just fine. Thanks for joining. The lag I don't think is too bad from what I heard. I think it was maybe a 3-4 second delay. But yeah, I mean, did you have a question or something that you wanted to say to everyone in the chat here?
Yeah, I wanted to say that I also work in the non-crypto video game industry, and as some of you may know, that there's a bias against crypto there. So I have to keep those two lives completely separate, and it affects my mental health because I'm basically keeping a secret from friends and communities. So I was on a board that ruled out crypto. We're not allowed to talk about it or encourage it in any way, shape, or form. And it was really painful for me. I do love the NFT space, though. The community is amazing.
Oh my god, I relate so much to you on that. I'm also in the same situation, by the way. And people hearing me work in crypto games before kind of tend to not answer my emails anymore sometimes. And yeah, it gets pretty hard, but I would say that if you're not actively searching for a new job, don't hide it. Because I don't know, my current colleagues know that I invest, but they don't like it because they think it's basically they think crypto is stealing from their funds. They're thinking every money that goes into crypto games, that could have been our game. Basically, account managers think that a lot. But like you said, I really relate to all of that. And I think it's very important that sometimes you just can't keep your professional and personal life together, and you just have to separate them so much in a especially in a subject. I guess you're very passionate about all of this, especially in a subject like this. You want to talk about it, you want to tell it to people, but you just can't, and it really sucks. I've been there. I was in this big MMORPG game, and my colleagues were German, and they would talk in this really angry tone each time, and I would really not like it. So yeah, I relate to you, but hang in there. We exist, even though it sounds like it. By the way, if you don't mind me asking, what do you do in gaming industry?
Community management, but that's as far as I'm going to go because it'll be really super easy to Google me.
Yeah, no, it's just I just wanted to know the role.
I think once AAA games start adding or integrating NFTs in their in-game assets, I think it'll become a lot more acceptable and mainstream. Remember, people used to mock the free-to-play gaming model with microtransactions when it first came out. Now it's a societal norm, so I believe that NFTs in gaming will become the new norm soon. I think what we need to do is to help educate and help our friends and family to understand the crypto space better because, quote, people fear what they do not understand. It's something Andrew Smith said.
That is a incredible quote, and that's something that people definitely fear what they don't understand. And I guess it's really cool to hear both of your perspectives, Fizban and Benello. I think it's really important to also hear your perspectives too, because I've also noticed the pushback from I guess the gaming industry on crypto and NFT specifically. I'm not really sure exactly what it is. It seems like a very tribal thing because I mean Escaleto had told me because I think he said he plays Counter-Strike that I guess like the existing Counter-Strike community was like super anti, like, I guess tokenizing, like sort of like, I guess like the different skins that you can purchase in that game. I'm kind of foggy on the details, but it just seems like that sentiment is, it can really make people that work in the space feel a little bit like ostracized or alienated, uh, which I think Fizban, you spoke on, really affected your mental health. So like, I guess an extended question could be like for maybe both of you, Benello and Fizban, like how have you dealt with that? And maybe, I guess, aside from onboarding and educating people, what else can we do to fight back against that, or to maybe, to alleviate some of that pressure?
Well, I don't mind being non-anonymous, because like I don't mind all that. So I'm gonna give some info. My former company, it was GameForge. Basically, their models in games is usually very, how should I put this without like giving myself a bad credit? It's very like economical oriented, meaning if there's something they can monetize, they surely will. And how the gap was that they really didn't like crypto forming, and I guess one of the owners really hated crypto because he lost money too. But they really hated how crypto games run and how easily they can gather up funds, because I don't know if anyone here has ever worked in a startup, but I did, and like it's usually very hard to get, like, for example, in my country, you would be very lucky to, I don't know, get funding enough for like like what, $1,000 worth of funding. If you got that from private investors, you would be very, very lucky. However, in crypto, you can do that in like in 2 months. I can just call up a few friends, make some contacts, and I can probably gather up like 200 to 300K in like 2-3 months if I actually dedicate my time to it. And I think that's something that they hate. Big companies don't have much to hate on that, especially companies like I worked at. There wasn't much thing that they wouldn't like, because we were not a startup. We had 11 to 12 games. There was no need to do all of that. I guess, like Fizban mentioned, they banned talking about crypto in our like internal boards. But what happened is that the other day I saw that they made a new position for the company. They offered me the job first. I said no, but they opened a new position that was like a game developer, but in the description they were asking for crypto and NFT knowledge. So they like it or not, they're gonna have to bridge the gap, because money is going to flow here, whether these big companies like it or not. And you can actually see some like little particles of movement in Ubisoft and all these like AAA, even EA games, all these AAA game publishers. You can see them moving, like not in a huge way, because they know their investors, some of them don't like crypto, so they only move in silence to these web3 spaces. And like at some point that bridge is gonna get closed, and ones that were stubborn, they're gonna fail and be left behind, because they're gonna be behind on technology. Right now in all web3 space, it's usually concept is here, but technology isn't there. But once technology reaches certain points, they're gonna be left behind. And some of them have realized this, some of them haven't. Ones that didn't are gonna be left behind, and their games won't be played. That's why I moved my career to Web3 as well. So to not get left behind. I would really love to hear Fizban's thoughts on this.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that companies will be left behind if they don't get up with the times here. I would say the NFTs added in-game assets will be the future, because you won't have to deal with limited time only skins or items, and you'll be able to own your own specific unique NFT skin or whatever you use the NFT for, rather than having the same skin as everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even have to be necessarily non-fungible, but I just think in general, it was an interesting topic I had, because I mean, kind of odd that we all have experience, but I guess we all are in GameFi. A lot of my family members do game development, and I guess they're of the traditional approach, and it was really interesting to me having building a game on chain. Their opinions on that game, crypto gaming will never be fun because the intention is always to make money. And I think that's where a lot of people don't understand. As you said, microtransactions were laughed at. And I think before games like Fortnite and Apex Legends and all that, where it was, a lot of vanity things, even gameplay memberships, like all these things were before a very optional thing. Like I remember back in my RuneScape days, membership meant that you got access to more features, but you could still very much play a full-fledged game for free. This free-to-play microtransaction model has taken over. Like that is the new thing now, and people end up paying more money than they normally do. And now companies aren't making fun of that, but now they're saying, what's the use of NFTs? I think they'll end up regretting that, even though I think we've deviated a bit from the mental health topic here. I do think gaming in crypto, to kind of go back to the point, should be focused on fun. And I do think NFTs will be fundamental to a lot of those games. And I do think in the future, as more companies get into it, there will be, and people solve the issues of developing a game that's fully on chain without having to sign a transaction every microsecond. There will be games on chain, or at least that use NFTs that are on chain, that will be fun, that people can use to alleviate those stresses from day-to-day life.
Yeah, it's such a great point. I think, I think it's just really important too, because I mean, and I feel like we've gone through this topic enough, and I'm just really happy that everyone was able to get in their takes on that. But I guess maybe to move on to a different, maybe like kind of topic, but I guess along the same lines. What kind of things make you happy? Like, if you want to take time off of maybe paying attention to crypto, or maybe not even playing a GameFi game, or really anything, like what kind of things that do you do that make you feel relaxed and happy, and maybe take your mind off some of the things that stress you out? Like, I know for me personally, I love listening to music. Like, I have a vinyl record player that I throw on quite a bit, and if I ever want to just relax, put on like a nice serene album, I'll just go on my computer and do something like really, really low effort and just listen to an album that I really enjoy. Like, those are things that really put me in like a nice vibe, and actually take my mind off crypto quite a bit. But yeah, what kind of things do you guys do?
I can speak if no one is doing. What do I do? I like to listen to music a lot too. These days, I just mindlessly scroll on TikTok some days. But I've been I know a lot of like JavaScript and all that, but these days I've been like trying to get into Unity, and that calms me a lot. I think just focusing on something and focusing on something that I find interesting is really working for me, is really relaxing for me in a way. And even though I work at it too much, it's really relaxing for me. And like the thing is, most things we do, they're not resting. For example, like I mentioned, mindlessly scrolling on TikTok or mindlessly scrolling on Twitter, no one feels rested after that. You're just stimulating your brain nonstop. you're just finding stimulants for your brain, and your brain is always working. It doesn't have time to like relax, get its order back into place. You don't, and I guess I have this addiction too. I think most people do. Like we are really connected to electrical computers or mobile phones, and be always most of the time just stimulating our brains. And I think just finding, maybe even just doing a puzzle is way more relaxing than going through social media and just not doing anything else. I think like something that's actually just giving focus to some place, just focusing on something that you're really interested. For example, I got into pixel art these days, like just trying to draw a random stuff. I've been trying to draw apples, for example, like different things. Actually doing stuff is way more relaxing, way more resting for your brain, rather than just stimulating nonstop. And I think that's pretty how should I say this? That's pretty important. Like I said, you when like let's say I'm working some days I'm working like 12 hours nonstop because I work in both on DeFi months and Dingos. So maybe I work 12 hours nonstop. I stop working, and then I want to take a rest. And if I look, I found out that if I look at social media during that period while I'm resting, I can't start working again. And I just searched that up a lot. It basically because I never rested. I just stimulated my brain in a different way. I was stimulating it. I just stimulated in a different way. So doing something else, maybe taking a walk, maybe just lying there doing nothing, not listening to anything, not hearing, seeing anything, just closing your eyes and resting for 10 minutes. I think that's really valuable. That's something we overlook on these days.
Yeah, I think doing nothing is super underrated. Like, obviously, social media is one of those things where you can feel like you're doing nothing, and like you said, it is stimulating your brain and kind of like not helping. But even just like watching a movie with your family or with a mate, or just going for a walk, these things that we just take as like it's nothing really do help out a lot. And I think you should make time for that in your day. Like you should plan to have time to relax, because otherwise you're just going to burn out. And I think everyone's probably burned out one time or another. And yeah, I think we can all really relate to that.
I guess to kind of interject here and to add on to that, have you guys ever, I know it sounds funny, ever truly just sat and done nothing for more than like a minute? Basically meditation, I guess, at that point, but not even actively. Because I mentioned it earlier in this chat, but there was a period in which I did, a week of no social media, nothing. It was basically just reading, work, and walking. And just the act of sitting in my bed and doing nothing for half an hour was insanely relaxing and did wonders for how busy my mind normally is. So I'm wondering if any of you guys have done like strategies in that sense of doing nothing.
You know what? I actually haven't done that before, but I like before I went to bed, like I feel like 3-4 weeks ago, I tried like a guided meditation thing that I found on YouTube, and I really didn't enjoy it that much. But maybe that's because my mind is always going like firing off and like thinking about a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I've heard that meditation is like, I guess maybe not necessarily like a like shitty like 9-minute YouTube video that has like, I don't know, that has like some person and like an ocean in the background sort of going, but I kind of want to try like a real, like, I don't know, like structured meditation thing that, yeah, would just like help me stop and do nothing for a sec. Because being out of your mind and truly just not actually thinking anything or like doing anything would just be such a relief, like such a break. Like I always feel like I'm thinking about something or doing something, and like the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 weeks, and that anticipation can create a lot of like stress and anxiety, I feel like. No, I haven't tried that, but I truly, truly want to. And
Yeah, definitely do. By the way, the whole point of meditation that it's supposed to be hard for it to work. If you're easily meditating, you don't need to meditate. You should be distracting yourself doing medication, not medication. Sorry, meditation. You should be not wanting to meditate. And like I guess you were doing it correct while doing it, even in a way.
Yeah, meditation is it sounds funny, but it is. Many times I'm just too lazy to do nothing and sit there and think of nothing. Like it is very much I think at the start a very boring task, and almost to the point where it's daunting. Like, oh man, do I really have to get up and then go sit there for 10 minutes and not do anything? I know there's I forget. There's a really good app for like guided meditation. If I remember, I'll say it. But yeah, the act of adding that into your schedule is really annoying at the start, but it does do a lot to like clear your mind of things and clear yourself of those stresses. I'd recommend it, Mr. OneCan.
Are you thinking of Calm?
No, it's not Calm. It's a researcher who started an app, and I remember I got it for free because if you were a student, you could apply for it to get it for free for I believe 6 months. Wake Up, maybe something along those lines.
Frenchie asked Headspace.
Let me look it up. Actually, I think Car Puppy, or one of our devs, was talking about a Sam Harris one or whatever. Some
That might be the one.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's the one though.
But I'd recommend, like, to any of you guys, if you do have excessive stress, and I feel like I have a very busy mind, and that causes most of my stress, where I just can't sit down and relax. There was like when I hit those times, I very actively and force myself to incorporate something like that in my mind. And like guided meditation really helps you if you've never done it before. Learn the fundamentals of like what meditation is. So a lot of these apps is like 10 minutes a day. They speak like 4 times, just explain to you what you need to do, and it can do a lot to like clear out the constant feedback you're getting from this whole crypto space, because this is a very active space, and it's constantly changing. It can become insanely overwhelming, I think, as all of us know. So a big thing here would be find practices that help you kind of clear up that clutter you have in your mind.
Definitely. I've noticed that sometimes I'll scroll through my feed on Twitter and I'll see people randomly say, I wish that I could die or something, because the anonymity in the NFT space is real and they feel like they can say whatever they want. It's concerning to me because there are help apps too. Am I allowed to suggest one?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
There's one called Woebot, WOEBOT. If you don't have a therapist, that's the closest thing to one. It has tools and lots of cool things that can be helpful.
Interesting. I'm on their website right now, so it says your mental health ally. Is it? So it's like a AI.
Yes, it's an interactive bot that you can talk to.
Oh wow, this is actually really interesting.
Yeah, so if you guys are ever too overwhelmed with anxiety or depression or just whatever in life, Woebot is a highly recommended app.
Wow, I didn't know something like that could exist.
Yeah, this is like I never even thought this thing would even be real. That's pretty crazy.
And I think this is what I appreciate a lot about the entire Harmony ecosystem. There seems to be a lot more community-driven activities and help that people can reach out to. And I think that's, at least with our project, and I know Dingos have done that too, to constantly check in on the community and make sure people feel welcome and feel like they can open up. So yeah, things like Wobot. And I think another thing, this kind of goes down the anonymity route. It's a lot less intimidating when you can just, sit on there and talk with some neural net about your issues. I'll check it out when I get back to the computer. But a great recommendation.
Yeah, thank you so much for the recommendation. Just to build off what Escaleto said, I think it's great that we're even able to have conversations like this. The last one that we did a few months ago, I just remember hearing some of the feedback where a lot of people were saying that specifically in this space, it doesn't really seem like a lot of people have these conversations in the forefront, um, which is very concerning to me because like you mentioned, Fizban, uh, because of the anonymity, like you feel like people can just be like really free form expressing themselves and saying really really troubling things, and come to think of it, I see that stuff too, like yeah, maybe some of it is ironic, maybe some of it is completely unironic, but it's nevertheless a very real thing. So I think, and I said this last time, but even if we can affect one person, even if one person can just be like, you know what, I heard what these people are talking about, I'm not alone, these are some resources that I can check out to ease my mind and my struggles, then I think it's 100% worth it, right? Like,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, man, it's something that we tend to overlook a lot. Uh, for example, like I don't know, in some spaces, people like really like to talk about all these things like it's a joke. Oh, I'm going crazy, or for example, there's like in cryptocurrency subreddit on Reddit, people keep saying, "Oh, unless there is a suicide hotline on the like web page, okay, everything's still going okay in the crypto space." It's just an inside joke where like if it was going too bad, there would be a suicide hotline link at the front page, but that's actually a pretty dark joke if you think of it. Like people are actually thinking of killing themselves on this stuff, and it's at some point it's bites on a screen, man. I can't stress this enough. Like being in the games and seeing how they're built, like you just they are bytes on a screen. They're just ones and zeros. So you grinding. I don't like. Don't take this in a bad way, but I love games. But at some point, even crypto too, because it's all on the internet. You're just looking at ones and zeros. So you really need to look from afar. I'm talking like mental health on cryptos, of course. Like in real life, there's a lot of different stuff that I'm not talking about those, especially in cryptos, that you just need to cool off. You just need to get away from stuff. And especially like I'm someone that, okay, now anonymity is working for me, but then I'm someone that actually came very close to suicide. And I know firsthand that it's a terrible thing. Like, it's really hard to ask for help. It's really hard to accept it if someone is offering it to you. And how I solved it was that I really just locked myself into a room for 4 or 5 days unless and I wasn't going to come out unless I didn't think about like killing myself anymore. So like Dingos and working on Dingos is really special for me, because like especially projects that really care about mental health and actually have stuff about mental health that are actually shining light on these issues is really they're really awesome for me, because at the end of the day, this is a place where people can get hurt, that there are like people behind these computers are real people, and just shining light on these issues, it makes you feel heard, man. Like I mentioned, I came very close. Thankfully I didn't, and if I did it that day, I know that knowing how life have become for me, knowing me myself now, I would probably be very upset that I did it. I would be very regretting it, and I would really not want to hurt myself. I still feel really bad that I wanted to do that before, and it's a really heavy thing on you, man. And I'm really happy that some people care about all of this, because it's like at the end of the day, I'm just thinking to myself, there is somewhere, someplace, there could be this 15-year-old boy that was just like me. He could be wanting to do it. He could be doing it. He could be wanting to do it. He could be thinking of doing it, and even joking on all of this, even if it's like actually joke. I I think it's a bit of a sensitive issue. It's all sensitive, and projects shining light on these. I'm all for it, man. I really like when people care about these stuff.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing that and being open with us. I know I'm not the only one when I say that I'm glad that you're here with us.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I guess being anonymous has this positive side to it. Like, if I was on my personal account, I would probably not say that. But being here, being behind an avatar, I guess it really helps me speak freely. So yeah, there's that.
Well,
Yeah, no
hey,
problem. I really like to share this, because, like I said, there could be somewhere, someplace that has that kind of kid. So yep.
well, you know what? We really appreciate you saying that. That's not an easy thing to talk about, and I mean, I personally want to say like thank you, thank you for being here, and going back to that one sentiment, like even if there's one person that can benefit from your story, the fact that you came out of such a dark place and now you're literally working with a project that prioritizes preventing that same thing, that's got to be such a great feeling. Like, and you hear it all the time. It's like someone goes through something traumatic when they're younger, or perhaps when they're at an older age, and they end up wanting to help other people that were going through a similar traumatic experience, and I think that's really admirable. And even then, just hearing one person talk about it and getting it off your chest, because I haven't personally dealt with like pretty pressing mental health issues, but I've had a lot of friends who have, and I'm always wanting to learn more to see how I can help, like how I can be there. And majority of the time, it's not something you say. It's not advice that you give them. It's not anything like that. It's just being an outlet to let the other person know that you're there for them and that you represent a strong support system. And I think that's more than anything what I want to learn how to be, like a good support, sitting there, knowing when to say something, knowing when to not say something, and just be there for the other person that's going through that experience. Because majority of the time, like loneliness affects a lot of people. It affects me sometimes. It affects everyone. And to get to that depth of wanting to do something to yourself, I feel like it just requires a lot of like despair, and to let go of that despair, you got to have people around you that are constantly reminding you that it's going to be okay and that you can come out on the other side, much like you have, Benello. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Really, really appreciate that. I think you're requesting to speak. You might have lost speaking privileges, so let me know if you're in now. It says you're connecting. But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I kind of my phone kind of got lagged, but yeah, thank you. It's really important for me to shed light on this, because I know how hard it is to ask for help. I know how hard it is to tell people that you think all of this. Like, I was living with my parents back then, and they don't know I've been through all of that. They have no clue. They probably never find out, because if they did, it would upset them. But back then, there was no way for me to tell it to them. I was kind of cutting myself sometimes, and I was wearing these long shirts so they don't see it. I had these bruises that I did it to myself, and they would never. I would do anything so that they wouldn't see it. They would know that something's off with me, because, like, yeah, of course, something is off with me, but they would never consider that far, because I never showed anything signaling to that sort of behavior. And I don't think it's an easy thing to show. It's pretty hard to show that you're thinking stuff like that, and it's something that most people will not do. Most people just try to, especially people at my age, like 20, 25, around that zone. People try to get over it by themselves. People try to stay alone, but and I know it's actually useless to say people, okay, ask for help, ask for help. Just, I know it's not possible. It's not that easy to ask for help, but I know when, like, people, projects, and you see someone just talking about it out of context, when you see that, it really helps you. And I actually got over it that way. My favorite YouTuber back then was talking about it, and I was like, wow, I'm not the only one. So, and then I just went privately to doctors, and somehow I actually got out of that. By that, it was seeing another people talk about it that actually helped me, that actually, like, made me climb out of that pit. And yeah, and I really like this spaces. It's really, especially, like, it says there, it's mental health chat. Like, that's kind of enough for people.
Yeah, man, that's such an awesome thing. So you ended up watching a YouTube video about somebody talking about a particular issue, and you were reminded almost that like, not it's not just you going through this, that you had somebody else out there that was also maybe feeling what you were feeling, or understood what you were feeling. And I think, in essence, that's really what we're trying to do. Like, we maybe don't have the actual feelings that a particular person does, but it's still so great that someone was able to, or you were able to hear that person, and get out of that. Like, I think, in addition to that, I think just even wanting, even if it's a slight feeling, like wanting to get out of your current situation, because you hear all the time, like, uh, not everyone with depression, but maybe like a faction of people with depression don't even know that they want the help yet, or they feel like in such a point of despair, and, like, perhaps, like, I guess, like, just complete another sadness, that they don't even want to help themselves, like, at all. And to revive that feeling, it's almost like, yeah, having those people around you, having that YouTuber, having some source that you can hear, hey, you matter, like you are worth the trouble. And I think, in essence, that's really what we need to start pushing as well, is that no matter what happens, no matter who you have, like, there are people that care about your existence, and spreading that message more than anything, I think, is tremendously important. So again, thanks so much for sharing that. um I don't know how much longer we can go here, though. I mean, I think we're about, like, 5 to 7 more minutes, because I think we have a few other things that we got to
Yeah,
do.
I do have to get going in about like 3 minutes here, but I do want to say I appreciate the vulnerable messaging here, and I think a lot of that stuff. I know we don't have a ton of people in this chat right now, but honestly, yeah, it just takes that one person to realize that or are experiencing similar things that they are. And they're ultimately not alone. They can confide in their anonymity and the people in the community and know that there's better times ahead.
Absolutely. And I think, with that, if anyone else has anything they want to say before we hop off, we just really, again, there isn't a whole lot of people in here, but we really do appreciate that there are people that came out here and decided to listen to us the entire time and hear what we have to say. Because this issue is tremendously important. Nothing is going to be solved by a few conversations, but again, even if we can just help that one person, it is 100% worth it. So, if anybody has any last thoughts before we hop off, please feel free to let it all out.
I guess I'll just hop in and say thank you, everyone, for taking the time to attend this. As I said last time, these are very eye-opening conversations for me. I can't say that I've experienced mental health issues to extreme extents, but I think as with anyone, I've had certain hardships in my life, and it's always interesting to be able to hear other people's stories and know that, people have surpassed those very dark times in their life and have become much stronger at the end of it.
I couldn't agree more. With that, thank you everyone who decided to join in. Thank you so much for speaking, sharing those vulnerable stories. And I think, honestly, I'd love to do this again in definitely the next few months for sure. We usually like to have these. This is literally our second one, but we'll like to have these as much as we can, just so that, again, anyone who wants to talk or anyone who wants to listen in can definitely hear that, you're not alone. So, we're going to take off here. Please feel free, join our Discord, join Dingo's Discord if you haven't, and, get involved with the conversation. We have our own health check channel in our Discord, the OneCan Discord. If you'd like to, air out what you're feeling, maybe not on voice chat, but on typing. I know it's feels a lot more anonymous, maybe less pressure. So, thank you again, and please take care.
Yep. Have a good day.
Yep.
Or
thank
night.
you.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for attending. It was awesome, and I hope to see you all soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Take care.